Let's see if this is going to work or not. Good morning, everybody. Yes, I know the connection here is absolutely terrible. I live in the middle of nowhere, and I know also that the lighting in this room is not so great. I am going to be working on that in the coming weeks, and that is because I am actually up my little hill, my little hill, 1,000 feet. I'm very proud of my 1,000 feet, I know. And we're going to be chatting today a little bit about the Tesla Megapack, which was announced yesterday. Excuse me. Of course, I can't always be in the studio every single day. I can't always be on top of the news every single day. And for reasons that I don't want to go into, I have to be home today. So we are going to be doing a pre-recorded video for the main Transport Evolved channel, which will go up later on. It's going to be, I think, on the Honda E. It might be in this story instead. We recorded 2 videos yesterday, so those are both coming up. But today I want to just have a little hangout with you guys and say hi, and also talk about some of the consequences of this announcement of the mega pack that was announced yesterday by Tesla. And frankly, I think this mega pack is absolutely massive news. Let's look at some of the specs here. It's capable of enabling 1 gigawatt hour plus scale projects. So that means you can have solar installations or energy storage installations that are capable of storing 1 gigawatt hour or more of power, which is crazy. And you can also each installation can quite happily go in super quickly. I mean, Tesla is saying it takes 40% less space per megawatt hour to install than a current installation. And it also uses 10 times fewer parts. And it can be installed 10 times faster as a consequence, because there are fewer parts that you need to put together. It's a massive, massive project. And Tesla says that a 1 gigawatt hour project using a megawatt pack, or a megapack, sorry, trying to remember the terminology, a megapacks even. Brain not working, need more coffee. Please excuse me. A megapack, there you go. A megapack, a 1 gigawatt hour megapack. And I just have to kind of just get my brain around these figures because they're crazy. Has enough energy in it to keep every home in San Francisco powered for 6 hours. Every home in the entirety of San Francisco powered for 6 hours. I want you to just think about that and the importance of that. Now, there are some challenges to having these massive grid-tied storage projects, but you can install one of these megapacks in 3 acres. Just think about that. You can have a megapack installation in as little as 3 acres, which is I'm not even sure how I can explain that. So you can have a 1 gigawatt hour power plant that is capable of providing 250 megawatts of instantaneous power. So 250 megawatts of power coming out of the unit at any one time, but you can store a total capacity of 1 gigawatt hour in a 3 acre site, and it will take you 3 months to install. That's mind-blowing. If Tesla can actually make those figures work in the real world, and I've got no doubt to believe that it can, that is absolutely crazy. And that is insane. That is truly insane. I mean, think about this, right? I live on a 1/3 of an acre site. Okay. So I know how big 1/3 of an acre is. And I'm looking at that going, okay, so 3 times the size of that. Okay, what does that look like? And then 3 times the size of that. So that still remarkably small. Most of the other people in my neighborhood have land that is very much larger than 3 acres. I mean, we've got one of the smallest plots up here, and it's a third of an acre. So it's just blowing my mind at the moment. How much would that cost? Well, I mean, I think the challenge with this is that obviously with Tesla, and I'm going to look now, I'm going to bring this down into this window here if I can remember how to do it. I think the challenge with this is that obviously it's one of those situations that if you if you have to ask, then you probably can't afford it. But amortized over the course of the lifetime of the project, it is ridiculously affordable when you compare it to a traditional power plant. And I do have a figure here in the blog, so I'm just going to, please excuse me for reading for a second, and I'll make sure I get this right. Let's see if I can find the cost here. Now, well, I mean, Tesla is not kind of telling us the cost directly. I'm going to just read what it says here. For utility-size installations like the upcoming Moss Landing project in California with PG&E, Megapacks will act as a sustainable alternative to natural gas peaker power plants. Peaker power plants fire up whenever the local utility grid can't provide enough power to meet demand. They cost millions of dollars per day to operate, and they are some of the least efficient and dirtiest plants on the grid. So effectively how Tesla is pitching this is it's pitching it to utility companies going, okay, you know, when you have to turn on extra power stations, and the reason they use natural gas is because it's very quick to turn those plants on, comparatively quick than it would be, say, to turn on a nuclear reactor or turn on a coal-fired powered station. And so while grids are becoming cleaner and greener every day, the job of acting as that buffer, the emergency extra power that the grids have to provide in peak power periods, that still generally comes from dirty power sources. And so what Tesla's doing with this Megapack is it's going, look, we've got this great battery technology. It's proven we can deploy it in massive capacities using a very small footprint. And what we want you to do is use your grid surplus during the day to charge these batteries up, either from the grid itself or maybe directly from a photovoltaic solar panel or from another sort of renewable energy. And then what we will do is we will then, when you are in a peak demand period, you can just siphon power from the battery pack instead of having to spin up the turbines in that dirty fossil fuel power plant. So that is where it's going. Get up to the dams along the Columbia. I would love to see that happening. I mean, that would be fantastic, right? It would be really wonderful to see. There are so many great projects around the world using hydroelectricity, and being able to tie in with that would be a phenomenal thing. I mean, I'd love to see that happen. Hey, I mean, there's loads of space next to the Hoover Dam, for example. Why not hook that up? I mean, obviously we know that Las Vegas takes a lot of that power, and it has its lights on all the time, so maybe that wouldn't work there. But there are plenty of projects around the world that could use this kind of massive grid tied storage product. Now, I don't think your average Joe is going to talk to Tesla and say, oh yeah, here's a blank check, install me a mega plant. This is definitely designed for your utility companies. This is definitely designed for your big industry, people who definitely want to get away from using, traditional fossil fuel energy and switch to renewable power. And this is a great energy sink that they can put energy in when it's being generated in excess, so that they can pull it out when demand is at a high. And I think that is fantastic. And I have to say that I think Tesla's business model with energy storage, I think Tesla should be focusing more on energy storage, basically. I think energy storage should be where Tesla is looking, as much as it focuses on automotive, and that's fantastic. I think actually, and again, with autonomous driving is great. Autopilot is great. But if we're talking about research and development and dollars spent, I can't help but think that Tesla would be better served by focusing on the energy storage rather than autonomous driving for now. Maybe you have different views. Why not the big boy Niagara Falls? Hydroelectric installations in itself do not need more storage. They are mostly storages of power themselves. That is true, because they store the power up high and then they release it. And of course, if you've got a pumped storage system, they are fantastic. There's some of those in Scotland where they release the water downhill to generate electricity during peak demand periods. And then when there's excess grid in the there's excess power in the electrical grid, they just pump the water back up to the top to start all over again. So yeah, you're totally right there. Well noted, well noted. So I think that this is a fantastic thing. We're going to see the first project, I believe, like the Moss Landing project in California with PG&E. And Tesla says it's got its own software. There's not really a surprise there. Software and setups to house, monitor, and control and monetize, interestingly, the Megapack installations. Now, interestingly, there's also some backroom software that that Tesla integrates with that allows utility companies to feed power to the grid and to make sure that global energy markets can get energy when needed. It's kind of like a trading system for global energy. And so they are going to be doing over-the-air software updates with Megapack. I don't know if it's over-the-air software updates exclusively, but they'll be doing server stuff as well. I'm just reading the blog post here. Tesla is, talking about their total global footprint as now 2 gigawatt hours of combined cumulative storage with Powerwall and Powerpack. So obviously with this big project, this is kind of an order of magnitude larger than we've ever seen before. So I think we are going to see a massive expansion. And it's a clever move from Tesla as well, because these large utility companies that Tesla's inevitably going to be working with on Megapacks, large pickup truck went down the road. These large utility companies that Tesla's inevitably going to be working with in order to get all of these Megapack installations on the ground, they are not as sensitive to high initial outlay, as say a regular consumer. And so what Tesla's doing is it's going, hey, we're going to build these big, massive energy storage projects. We're going to work with our clients in the energy sector. We're going to push those out. And I think actually that could be a bit of a cash cow for Tesla in the future, which of course would help ensure that Tesla can keep its consumer stuff an affordable price. So we've got economies of scale from the battery manufacturing themselves, which is going to help Tesla, all of Tesla, be it energy storage products for the home through to the cars. It's going to help bring down the unit costs, the cost of manufacturing for Tesla, which of course will increase its gross margins, because if it's spending less to actually make and manufacture and install the stuff, but it's still selling it for a similar price, then obviously it's going to increase its margins. But it's also going to mean that Tesla gets this surplus cash, these large cash injections from utility companies for delivering these products, which can then be plowed back into Tesla, whichever part of Tesla's business the board feels is right. So that's a very good way forwards. However, obviously these Megapacks, they are fantastic for big industry. They're fantastic for large grid-tied energy storage products, and they are great in normal operation where you have a stable grid, you have a predictable energy surplus that's going to be coming in on a fairly regular basis that you can use to charge the packs up with. And obviously you've got a good network that's not going to be susceptible to anything like earthquakes or whatever. But as soon as you're in a region where you have more unreliable power, either because the grid can't take it because of it's old, or there's a natural disaster that's caused a problem, whether it be fire, floods, bad weather, snow, or earthquakes, then you need to have more of a decentralized energy storage solution. And I think what I would love to see is for Tesla to operate in a way that allowed these Megapack installations to help ensure that local communities as well were able to afford kind of mini-me versions, which is of course, your Powerwall. And so I need to see more. I want to see more Powerwalls coming into the homes and people having more in-home storage. And if you think about it, you know, your average home, if you had a 20 or a 40 kilowatt hour battery pack in your home, that would be enough to keep most people running their homes for a couple of days. Now, I will acknowledge that we are the opposite. You know, if you are an electric vehicle owner, you do run your own business, you have servers at home, it's slightly different. I mean, our current electricity consumption per month is about 1,800 kilowatt hours a month. And that's because we have two electric cars that both travel 50 miles plus a day. Sometimes 50 miles is the minimum, 100 miles is not unusual in a day. We have two servers here for Transport Evolved that are constantly running. And we do run our home on 100% renewable energy from the local utility company. And before anyone gets upset, that is because people say, yeah, but it's not really renewable. I know it's not actually renewable electricity that I'm buying, but I'm buying an equal amount of renewable electricity from the grid to offset the electricity that I'm using, if that makes sense. We are going to be looking at installing solar panels in the next couple of years, and hopefully either a Powerwall or something similar, so that we have our own off-grid, because we're 25 miles out of Portland. We are 7 or 8 miles from the nearest town, so it would be nice for us to have an off-grid capability, especially as our water is pumped. We have a well, and our sewerage is pumped because we have a septic system. So if the power goes off, we are SOL. The whole house is 100% electric. That's one of the reasons we bought it, because we didn't want to have fossil fuels in the house. And so, yeah, we want to have a Megapack, a mini Megapack, which is a Powerwall, installed at some point in the future. So people keep asking me questions, so I'm going to go up into the questions section here. The way I've got this set up right now is I've got my laptop right there and I've got my big screen there. So if I look up, it's going to look a bit weird, but that's because the camera is there and the screen is there. So let's have a look at some of these. All right. Lake Erie is at a record level. There's plenty of stored energy there, but we still have to keep the falls for people to enjoy too. Oh, talking about Niagara. Yeah. Yes, the Tesla Memorial is on. I don't understand that. Can energy be stored in these Megapacks for weeks or months, like when dams have to release spring runoff and energy is wasted? Could they store that power for months when needed? Well, okay, so batteries do have a self-discharge rate, and self-discharge on some batteries is pretty high. So if you go with something like a nickel metal hydride battery pack, for example, nickel metal hydride battery packs do have a really high self-discharge. They will go from like say 100%, they'll self-discharge down to 80% pretty darn quickly. Lithium-ion battery packs don't have a particularly high self-discharge rate. The cars tend to have a pretty high apparent self-discharge rate, but it's got nothing to do with the batteries and everything to do with the battery management system and all of the onboard systems that Tesla has that keep the car in good condition. So yes, the cars will lose their charge if you park up for a month. The car will slowly discharge. With lithium-ion batteries, though, there is no reason to, as long as the system is designed properly, there's no reason for those batteries to not hold a charge for several months. You will have some self-discharge, but not a huge amount. Now, I'm not a battery expert, so maybe this is something that we can get one of Transport Evolved's buddies to help explain. We've got several buddies in the battery industry, and so maybe we can get them in and answer the question. And yeah, it would be good to see. But I don't think the discharge for lithium ion is particularly huge. TMT says, are you going to buy a Model 3, a Tesla Model 3? No, I'm not. I keep coming around to this again and again and again. People always ask. The Bolt EV, the GM EV Bolt, the GM, what's the Chevrolet Bolt EV? I nearly said EV1. Suits my needs perfectly. We have, as I said, we have about a 50-mile round trip to work every day. If you add in some errands that we sometimes have to do, then it can go up to 100 miles a day. That is unusual. We are not norm in terms of commute length. We do have a longer than usual commute length, but that's because he wanted to live out in the countryside. But even our Nissan Leaf is doing great for us as well. I mean, my wife still can get to and from work in it and still have a little bit of charge left when she gets home. That may not be the case in the winter, but we will see. And I mean, yeah, look, I love the Tesla Model 3. I've driven one. I've driven several, actually, and I love the car. I think it's a great car. But I don't think I could live with it as a daily driver. It doesn't feel like me. And it's not a hatchback, which is a big killer for me because I have two old dogs. One is 13 and one is 7. The 7-year-old has been very ill this week, and she's been the source of lots and lots of pennies being spent. I think the vet's bill is currently $2,000. But they like to travel with us, and obviously if there are people in the back of the car, then the dogs go in the boot. You can't put dogs in the boot of a sedan. Trash truck time. I need to change my trash truck, my trash bin. We have this big bin. We have one bag of trash a week. So make from that what you will. So this guy is just lifting our trash into the trash truck, and there's only one bag in there. It's all right. It's just the trash truck. Right, where was I? So yeah, no, Model 3 for us. Model Y, maybe, I don't know. But honestly, I love the Bolt, and there are more pressing things in my life than having a Tesla. I have lots of other things going on in my world, in my life, and justifying a new car is not on the list. We lease the Bolt. We will buy the Bolt out, the lease out, when it is up. And then I don't know what will happen, but it's unlikely that we'll end up with a Tesla. I mean, I never say never, but it's unlikely that we'll end up with a Model 3 right now. I'd be tempted by a Model S, I'm not going to lie, but they are a big car. And based off the roads we live on right now, I mean, even my little Bolt sometimes feels big on some of these country roads. So we'll see. Anyway, that is what's going on with the Megapack. Sorry I screwed up the title at the beginning there. It's taking a while for my brain to wake up in the morning. So if you've got any other questions not related to the Megapack, let me know. Do you have the roof space to fit solar panels, to fit enough solar panels to produce 1,800 kilowatts a month? No, we don't. Nowhere near. We probably have enough for... We could probably fit 20 kilowatt peak on our house. I don't think that's going to produce 1,800 kilowatts a month. I don't think. But I mean, that's ultimately our goal. And while I'm at it, just so that you guys know, it's really important for us to make sure that we have a home that is as renewable as possible. So we compost. We are 90% vegetarian these days. My wife still eats meat, and on occasion, if I have no other choice, I will occasionally have something, but normally I'm vegetarian these days. Because I am vegetarian, I am I've dragged the family onto vegetarian alternatives and also non-meat dishes. So we're getting there, lowering our carbon footprint that way. I am not vegan. I will admit that we do still eat cheese. We still have dairy. I grew up on a small, I say a small, it was pretty small, a small dairy farm in the UK. And I don't talk about it very much because I know dairy farming over here is really considered terrible. I've seen massive American dairy farms, and I've seen small independent dairy farms. And the small independent ones are very similar to what we had in the UK. But I don't have a huge reason to completely ditch dairy altogether. I'm cutting back. I do have dairy alternatives. But it's one thing I'm allowing myself is to have a little bit of dairy. And I know that there are carbon footprints associated with that. But the lifespan of a dairy cattle, the lifespan of a dairy cow is actually much longer than the lifespan of, say, an animal being bred just for meat. So I know we're going into the weeds here, and I know some people are going to disagree with me, but that is generally where we're at. I do have oat milk. I do have soy milk, and I also have almond milk. So while I do use milk in cooking and stuff, I do have alternatives. So I'm about 50, I suppose maybe I'll have dairy 50% of the time and dairy alternatives about 50% of the time. So we are reducing our carbon footprint. We are not eating meat for the most part. And we are running our house on renewable electricity. We do want to become completely off-grid capable rather than completely off-grid. So off-grid capable is what I'm using to say we are going to be taking all the steps we need to be able to survive off-grid should the need arise, but we will be connected to the grid at the moment some way or another. And that is our goal moving forwards. It's going to take time. We are planning on not leaving this house anytime soon. So it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years. I'm hoping it doesn't take 10 years, but we'll see. We've got a lot of other things going on from there. Richard has a really great question. Did Tesla say how many megapacks they were able to produce in a year? I do not believe so. And I would suggest that if it's going to be happening at the Gigafactory in Reno, it will be whatever the Reno Gigafactory can cope with. Tesla really does need to start producing its own cells and kind of sort out the Panasonic problem. I think that's causing Tesla a lot of headaches at the moment, just based on conversations I've had with people over the last couple of months. So it would be interesting. But interestingly, also, I should note, Megapack can do DC connections direct to solar. So you can use, it's got a built-in inverter, 1.5 megawatt inverter per 3 megawatt hour storage module. So that gives you a good idea of what it's capable of. Someone else was asking me a question. Off-grid capable is my dream goal as well, says Sophie. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a very important thing. How often do grid power interruptions happen in the US? I hear quite a bit about that, but haven't experienced them over here in Europe in the last 35 years or so. So grid power interruptions over here, I have had a couple in the US, not caused by brownouts, but caused by natural phenomenon. So we had a 4 or 5 day power cut a year or two ago. It's where we made the Nissan Leaf Run Your House Off a Nissan Leaf video. Basically what happened was there was a power cut. All of the other units in our block were powered on and turned on, but our building didn't come on for 2 or 3 days. It was interesting. So message retracted. Oh, that's interesting. Question. Power goes out for 2 to 3 minutes a day, 5 days a week from where I'm from. Wow. That's crazy. That I couldn't imagine that. I really couldn't. I have to say here, we've not had a power cut, and the people we purchased the house from said they've never had a power cut, and they were here, I think, for 8 years. So, I mean, Puerto Rico. I hope that we see more of those renewable energy projects. I really want to go to Puerto Rico and see what's been happening in the aftermath of the hurricanes, and how renewable energy products are coming off as a consequence of that. I really do. I'm serious about that. That is a lot. In that case, off-grid capability is needed. Yes, and for some people, big oil. Big oil got Salah al-Sulaiman, I think. Al-Sulaiman? I apologize if I get your name wrong. I'm terrible at pronouncing names, as some of you are very eager to point out. So that's where we're at. That's what's happening with the new house and everything. We've got servers. We've actually got wired internet. I've got spare patch. Oh, it doesn't reach. I've got spare patch cables just sitting everywhere. This is my wife's machine, gaming machine. This is my gaming machine, but it's also my work machine when I work from home. There's a truck coming down the road. The windows are open. That was Big Oil going down the road. I have no idea where Big Oil was going because there's no filling stations down this road. Really is just a trucking road, and there's a festival site up the road. But other than that, a lot of people with means would have invested in solar for their homes, but it would be awesome if we saw something at a larger scale to fit the needs of the whole island. Andre, that I am totally behind you with that, and I think a Megapack would be a great solution for that, based on what we've seen of the Megapack and everything else. Lots of you have been asking about the new studio, so I think also now is a great time to give you some feedback on the new studio. So we have moved. Our current studio is in Slabtown in Portland. It's just off of the 405 freeway bridge. And I'm going to miss living. I'm going to miss working there because the address was Enterprise. The building number is 1701 and my suite number is D, or 4. My suite number is 4, but in my head it's D. So I always used to say that I lived at Star Trek, worked at Star Trek at the Enterprise. That is going away. We are moving to a studio in, we're moving to a business park in Hillsborough, which, for those who don't know, Hillsborough is about 10 to 15 miles away from Portland proper. And Hillsborough is home to Nike. It's also home to Intel. Some people say Beaverton is home to Nike. Technically, Beaverton is home to the Nike headquarters, but Nike does have offices in Hillsborough as well, but it's home to Intel. And so it's a lot of tech, lots of new builds, lots of renewable energy, lots of good internet. And so we are moving into a studio space there, which is a proper 1,000 square foot facility with a roll top garage door. We're going to have a studio, a space where we can have multiple different sets. We're going to have an office for editing in. I need someone to help me move. But other than that, we're going to be hiring a trailer. We recently got a hitch for the bolts, so we're going to be putting a trailer in it, and we'll go from there. A lot less expensive in Hillsborough. Come and visit us in Medford. Goodness, I am not, Michelle, it's wonderful, but I'm not going to be driving all the way to Medford every day. That is that would be a 500-mile commute every day, too, and that'd be 10 times what my current commute is, to get to Medford every day. And yes, okay, there are now Electrify America everyday ones. But yes, Medford is the other end of the state, as you know, we're joking a little bit. But yeah, so we're going to be in Hillsborough. We're paying, we've got a really good price on the rental unit there. We are going to be looking to put things on the walls. So if you've got any posters, like old EV posters or renewable energy stuff, or anything you think should go on the wall of the new studio, let us know. We can't guarantee we're going to put everything up, but we are going to decorate so that it looks nice and fancy. We need to make some adjustments to the building. We've got to do some building work at some point. That's going to cost money that we don't have right now. So for now, we're going to be just working with the space as we have it. But eventually, we want to have multiple sound stages built so we can have multiple different sets and maybe even be recording multiple different things at the same time. We really need to find an editor. I'm looking for an intern editor at the moment to try and figure out how we can get extra video editing projects done, because I'm working 60 hours a week and I'm not getting all the videos edited that I would like to. I can print some of them myself. I do have access to some large format printers. So if you've got anything that you think would be cool, let me know and we can do that. We've got some artwork we're going to put on the wall. We're going to do something fun with the bathroom, but that's going to be a little bit of a surprise. But yeah, we're going to put stuff on the walls and hopefully that will be really, really awesome. We're also going to have a really good internet connection. So where we are right now here at the house, we have an internet connection that is stupidly expensive. It's one of the downsides to living here. We're paying $250 a month for a 10 megabit per second synchronous Wi-Fi connection. Which is ridiculous, but we need it because we have backup servers at the house. So it was one of the bad things about moving out here, but we have that combined with a 4G LTE connection. So we've got two of those connections and we're kind of fusing them together. We're doing what's called load balancing. So on a good day, we can get 20 or 30 megabits per second download and about 12 or 13 up. But at the studio, we're going to be getting either 100 or 200 megabits per second up and down, which will be fantastic. And it means that we'll be able to do live streaming. It means that we'll be able to do more interaction with you guys. And hopefully, it also means that we'll be able to get videos up online a little bit quicker, because at the moment we're in Slab Town and we're paying stupidly large amounts, more than we're paying for our home internet. We are paying for a stupidly slow connection because Comcast are terrifying. So there we go. We have a pretty cool club, Southern Oregon Hybrid and Electric Vehicle Association. Anyway, what software do you edit with? We edit with Final Cut Pro. You know, Michelle, wouldn't it be great if I could come down and do some stuff? Maybe we should talk. I'd love to come down and see what you guys are doing. Tell me some of the stuff you're up to, and maybe we'll try and do something. Maybe I'll try and come down. What's the best affordable EV in the UK? Says Magnolia Tree Man. Sorry. It's because I'm slightly dyslexic. I don't know if you'd realize this, but I have to kind of think about words sometimes. Magnolia Tree Man. I like magnolia trees. Anyway, the best affordable EV in the UK right now. If you're going all electric, affordable EV. Well, it depends what you want, because I'm a real fan. I mean, if you're looking for short range, I loved dinking around in my Leaf. I think the Kona as a new car is great. I think the Nero is a great car. I wouldn't call either of those two particularly affordable. I really like the look of the new e-up. But it's a small car. But I'm also a fan of the ENV 200. I think they were great little things. I mean, they're not really fun to ride or drive long distances, but they are super, super practical. I would, if I lived somewhere where I could buy a 7-seat ENV 200, that would be my car. If it had a decent range, because my dog. My border collie here, Pepper, he has arthritis and he struggles to get into the back. Our other dog, who's a lab, also has trouble jumping up into vehicles. So I was able to afford the Model 3, so to me it was affordable. The question, Richard, is what happened to your Vauxhall Ampera? So Richard used to have a Vauxhall Ampera, so I'm wondering what's going to happen to that. Curious. I thought my internet was rubbish in Belgium. Well, it's not super bad here. You just have to you just have to, you know, be able to work on it. I just realized I've got a lot of Brits watching because it's 8:30 in the morning. EMV200 is my daily driver and charged from my off-grid wood barn during sunny summer days. Hello, Painting 4. So there we go. That's everything that's happening. We are going to be officially moving on August, I think it's going to be August 10th, which is a weekend. And we've got to get the server installed. We've got to put a server rack in. So if anybody knows anybody in the United States with a server rack that they no longer want, please get in touch, because we need to install the new 45 drive server. We've got a rail for it. We just don't have a server rack. Question: have you thought about getting a tattoo on electrification of EVs? I know, completely random heart, but my daughter is completely into tattoos, so I don't think I can find it. Right, so right here, I don't know if you can see that. Right here is a scar. It's from when I had an implanted heart monitor. We have long QT in our family, and my late sister had it, and my mum has it, my other sister has it, and I am there as well. I'm not. They've not genetically tested me, but I do have a long QT, and therefore, you know, I'm in that zone. Long QT is a weird one. It's one of the. It's a condition. Certainly in my sister's case, she was deaf, so she was lucky. But if you have long QT type 2, you can literally be scared to death if someone comes up behind you and goes boo. I have fainted before when people come up behind me and surprise me, because my heart just starts racing. I'm on medication which slows my heart rate down way down. It used to be regularly over 200 before I started on medication. Unfortunately, I also used to be a lot slimmer. But these days my heart rate's very slow compared to what it used to be, and so I'm generally safe. But for a while I had this implanted monitor on my chest, and it left a scar. And so I am trying to consider whether I should get a tattoo or not. So it's funny that you brought that up. I have a character that I play regularly. She's a mascot. Her name is Queenie, and she is a time traveler, and she has a deer's heart whacked in her chest inside this steampunk dome. And I have been considering getting that made as a tattoo. So in response to your question, yes, but not from an EV perspective. I maybe would get a thing. Yeah, most people know who Queenie is. Most people have seen Queenie. She is she's my disembodied head. This is her head. This is Queenie. She did a lot of charity work with me. We did an ALS bike ride a couple of weeks ago, and we regularly go into kids' hospitals. We're doing another thing on Sunday, right? Yeah, we're doing a thing on Sunday. We're going to go and it's a launch event for a particularly charity thing. Queenie with a charging that would be great. Or maybe my whole crew, because I actually have a whole crew of little critters. This is a Dutch Angel Dragon top. I have a Dutch Angel Dragon as well that I'm working on right now. I'm sewing her together right now. In the copious spare time that I have. I've literally sewn this much in the last 6 months. Anyway, so yes, tattoos I have considered, but not that one. It's going off-piste, I know, and someone will complain that I'm not talking about EVs in Transport Evolved Take 2, but you know what? That's why it's called Take 2. Anywho, this has been wonderfully fun, and I unfortunately have to get on with some work now. I've got to get a video out for you all to enjoy. Either of those terms are Acceptable, says Tam. Tam says mascot or furry, or fairy. Both are acceptable. I don't care. All I know is that she allows me to Queenie and Chimmy and Glycerint and all my others allow me to make people smile and have a good time. And I love entertaining, and I love this adorable goof bag. I hate her, actually. I think she is obnoxious and horrible, but I do adore her as well. She is good fun. So yeah, we do a lot of charity work. We actually run a local charity called the League of Floofs, League of Extraordinary Floofs, and we go into a lot of kids' hospitals and do all of these other things. And sometimes Queenie can be found at the local Drive Electric week. If you were at the Drive Electric week in Portland last year, you may have bumped into her, and she was there, and a lot of people. It was kind of funny actually, because the National Drive Electric team in Portland, or the local Oregon chapter of the Oregon EVA, kind of reached out and said, "Hey, you do things like with kids entertainment, right? You get involved and do kids entertainment and stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have a group of performers, and that's my phone case. I have a group of fursuiters who come in and do entertainment and stuff." And they said, "Great. So could you bring them?" And I said, "Yeah, we can bring some." So we brought along. Who did we bring along? We brought along this noodle here, Queenie. Queenie came. We had a pink snow leopard called Lychee, who is a good friend of mine, who has just purchased her first car, and it is an EV. And she just got a name check. I know she'll watch this, so she'll get super like, "Hi." Her character's voice is very adorable though as well. It's very high and hi. I can't do it very well. Anyway, animals. We were talking about animals. Oh yes, we had another cat. So we had two cats. We had Queenie, and then we had did we have Jack? Jack is a border collie. And so we had all these characters there at the National Drive Electric Day, entertaining kids. And I was tying balloons off. I want you to know that I was tying balloons in that character, and I was able to do it with one hand. And people keep asking, "Where am I? Where's Nikki? What's she?" I heard my name kept coming up, okay? And very few people knew that I was in the character. So that was kind of funny and amusing. And then, of course, when it was revealed that I was playing that character, people found it kind of, I think some people were shocked, some people found it amusing, some people found it funny. But yeah, we'll probably be doing that again this year. So if you're in Portland, keep your eye out for them at a future National Drive Electric Week event. I really am going to get going now and get to work. If you do like what we do, however crazy, please do consider supporting us through Patreon. It really means a lot to us. We are doing some fantastic new things with Patreon. We're doing a special with a Patreon. We've got a wall mural planned. We are going to be sending our patrons postcards in the future. It's, and then we go from there. So if you can consider supporting us, do. We've got another couple of questions. That must have been difficult, says Andrew. Yeah, it was. Rave Tracks, talking about other creative sides. Did you write your team theme music? It's great. I didn't. I got it from Artlist. But we do want to make our own. We do want to make our own music. So if you know anybody, we want to have our own theme song. So there we are. You're in the US. I must be new. Yeah, see if I can prove that I'm in America. Here we go. See that over there? That right there is a plug. That's an American plug. But then again, we do have British plugs floating around as well. American plug. Yep, we're in America. So I'm based in Portland, Oregon. I am actually I am a British Canadian American. That is my nationality, British Canadian American. So I have a British passport, I have an American passport, and my mum is Canadian. So I'm a mongrel. Proves it, lol, says Brent. Extra bonus points for getting the little emoji there correct. That was pretty impressive. So there we go. I don't like American plugs. I don't like American plugs. Don't get me on a rant. American plugs pull out of the wall all too easily. They don't have any insulation on them. These are not safety plugs. They have no safety plugs on them at all. Let me show you a British plug. Okay. So this is a British plug right here, because we still have British plugs in the house. So this is a British plug. All right. So on a British plug, you've got your live, your neutral, and your earth. And if you're watching this, it'll be reversed because it's a mirror image. So this is a British plug, and it's really clever. Tom Scott did a really good video on this online, so go watch it if you want to know more about it. But you can see that one of the pins is longer than the other two. Okay, this pin here, Tom Scott, see, you're great minds. So this is the best plug in the world. And of course, if you go to India, they use these in India. Oh, they don't actually. They use the old version of the British plug. So they use the round pin version. So we used to have round pins, and then they changed it to the safety plug. So this is the earth, and it's the first one to go into the socket. Okay, Malta uses them. Thank you, Richard. This is the first one to go into the socket. And on the plug, there is a shutter that prevents you from sticking your fingers in the socket. And the shutter blanks off these two, the holes for these two pins. And when you push this one in, it pushes on a shutter mechanism, which opens up the two holes for the live and the neutral. So live and neutral, all right? And what happens is when you push this in and the shutters open, then obviously you can plug the plug in. But these don't make contact until that has gone in and it's grounded the thing, which means that you're electrically a lot safer than you would be otherwise. And you see these, oh, just drop it on the floor here. You see these two black bits? These are insulation sections. This is insulated. So if you put this in the wall and you don't push it in all the way, these are insulated. So even if you've got a screwdriver, pretend this is a screwdriver, and you're trying to touch these two pins together, you're not going to get an electric shock because they're insulated. And this bit here that is uncovered and open, then what happens is you cannot get an electric shock. If these are exposed, the plug is not pushed in far enough to actually connect internally, mechanically, with the electronics on the other side. So it's very, very difficult. Very difficult. Not impossible, but very difficult to give yourself an electrical shock. The other thing that you have, and someone asked if all pins, if they all have 3 pins, and the answer is yes, apart from the bathroom plugs, which are more of the European style. And I'm looking for a screwdriver and unusually I don't have one unless I've got my multi-tool with me. We have still just moved, so, and because of everything been going on in my personal life, because I do have a personal life outside of Transport Evolved, we haven't finished unpacking yet. So let's see if I can find my multi-tool. I don't have my multi-tool in my bag, and I'm not running downstairs to get a plug to show you. So inside of here, there is a fuse. And inside here, that fuse can be one of 3 different sizes. You can have a 3 amp fuse, a 5 amp fuse, or a 13 amp fuse. Extension leads, they have a fuse, which is what this one is. And sometimes you'll have a little label. So this one actually says 10 amp fuse fitted. And these fuses can be user replaceable. The fuses are designed to protect the appliance. So we have our usual wiring and trips in the actual circuits in the house, but the individual fuses protect the individual electrical systems that you plug in. Generally, you use a actually you can have maybe you can have it's 3, 5, 10, I think. Might be 3, 5, 10, 13. There might be 3, 5, 10, 13. But the 3 amp one is for lights. So if you have a lamp, table lamp, it will have a 3 amp fuse in it. The heavier duty the thing, the larger the fuse. And they will have an appropriate length cable. So table lamps will have really flimsy cables that are built to carry the power needed for the lamp, but nothing else. And so that's why I like these. But go and watch Tom Scott's little video on it, because it's so much better than this thing here. I mean, this is just terrifying. These are easy to bend. I mean, you can literally bend them by hand. Our house is 13 years old. This house that we're in now is 13 years old, and half of the sockets need replacing because they've already worn out. It just blows my mind. And they spark when you plug them in as well, which is terrifying. Anyway, after we started off with the Tesla Power Brick, Mega Pack. We started off with the Tesla Mega Pack, and then we've kind of gone off the rails through to talking about EVs, through to talking about furries, talking about Transport Evolved Studio, and now plug designs. You get it all from, there you go. Does Europe have donuts with Captain Crunch berries on top? Probably not. Probably not. But we do have a guy with lots of crazy hair, who, according to John Oliver, styles it that way. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you've not already subscribed to this channel. This is our hidden corner of the internet where anything goes that's kind of remotely related to Transport Evolved. And we'll be doing some videos from the new studio when we get them. There will be a video going up shortly today, as I say, which I'm going to be working on now. And then I'll be back in the studio tomorrow, and we've got some great new ideas set up for you. The fully charged videos are coming. I just don't have a lot of spare time at the moment to edit them and keep up the content. We've got 3 4-car reviews that need to be pushed out as well. So we're working on that as well. So thanks for watching. Keep evolving.